There's this quiet conversation happening right under the surface of all the noise we hear every day. And it's pointing to a shift in society that, honestly, should probably terrify us, at least just enough to wake us up.
And here's what it is. A new class divide is emerging. But forget what you think you know, because this one isn't about how much money you have in the bank.
For centuries, we've always framed these big societal divides around money, right? Rich versus poor, or maybe educated versus uneducated. But a new split, something way more fundamental, is taking over. It's not the rich against the poor anymore. It's the thinkers versus the consumers. And believe me, this divide has everything to do with your future, with your ability to build wealth, and to seize opportunity.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, where's the proof, right? Well, it all starts with this huge disconnect, this massive lie, really, between what we're all told to do and what the people at the very top actually do.
So let's talk about the public story first. You've heard it a million times. When a billionaire or some super successful person gives advice to the general public, it's always this straightforward stuff, right? Just learn to code. Take an online course. Just work hard. It's that classic pull yourself up by your bootstraps advice that we all know.
But behind closed doors, when they're talking to each other, the conversation is completely different. They're talking about getting into elite schools, finding mentors, studying philosophy and history, digging into curated reading lists. See the difference? The focus suddenly isn't on tactical skills, it's on developing the ability to think deeply. It's like there are two totally different playbooks for two different teams.
And you have to wonder if this is an accident. There's this really unsettling quote. It's attributed to John D. Rockefeller that just frames this whole idea perfectly. He supposedly said, "I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers." And that makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Because workers, well, they maintain the systems that are already in place. Thinkers, they're the ones who challenge those systems and change them.
So, fast forward to today. That idea of the worker has evolved into something, well, even more manageable, the consumer. And I'm not talking about just buying stuff. This is about a whole state of being. It's a mind that's in constant reaction mode, always scrolling, always absorbing, but almost never stopping to actually create or think for itself.
All right, so let's bring in the big one. Let's talk about how this whole trend is being put on steroids by the biggest technological shift of our lifetime, AI. But its role in all this might not be what you think.
So the popular story you hear everywhere is that AI is making us dumber, right? But what if that's not really it? What if AI is just a massive amplifier? Think about it. Maybe AI didn't create this thinking gap. Maybe it just revealed what was already there, and then threw a whole tanker of gasoline on a fire that was already burning. Here's basically how its impact breaks down. For people who are already thinkers, AI is this incredible tool. It's leverage. It supercharges their abilities. But for people who are already stuck in that consumer mindset, AI just makes it easier to consume at a massive, totally unprecedented scale. So what happens? The gap gets wider and wider.
The philosopher Marshall McLuhan basically warned us about this decades ago. He had this brilliant line, "Every technology is an extension of ourselves, but also an amputation." And that's so true for AI, isn't it? It's definitely an extension of our minds, no doubt. But what's it amputating? For a lot of people, it's the habit, the muscle of thinking for themselves, of actually wrestling with a problem to figure it out.
Okay, so all of this leads to a really fascinating and, I think, crucial idea about what true status even means in the 21st century.
We used to think of luxury as, stuff. Fancy cars, expensive watches, big houses. But today, the most unattainable luxury, the rarest and most valuable thing you can have, is an uncluttered, well-nourished mind. That's the new status symbol.
And this isn't just some abstract theory. People are actually living this way. There's this incredible story about Steve Jobs. He was once asked if his kids loved the iPad, and his answer, "My kids don't have an iPad." Just think about that. The guy who literally architected our digital world understood its power to hook you so well that he protected his own kids from it. Instead, they had conversations. They talked about books and history. They were being trained to be thinkers, not consumers.
And that right there, that's what we're calling cognitive luxury. It's having a mind that's uncluttered, a mind capable of long-form concentration. It's the ability to think critically, without 1,000 notifications pulling you away. It's the quiet space you need for real creative insight. This, right here, is the new power.
So why does any of this matter? What's the big deal? Well, because that mental space, that cognitive luxury, is what fuels creativity.
And creativity isn't just for artists painting pictures. It's the engine behind all innovation, all real problem solving, all resilience. But here's the catch. It's a muscle. And if you don't use it, if you're just constantly consuming, it gets weak. It atrophies.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem, this growing divide. But now we get to the most important part of this whole thing, the choice. Because this is about a decision that you get to make, starting this very moment. And I really want you to let this sink in. The biggest threat to your future, it isn't a lack of money. It isn't a lack of opportunity. It's the slow, quiet loss of your ability to think. It's the erosion of your most valuable asset, your own mind.
And look, this isn't easy. It's designed to be hard. There is an entire multi-trillion-dollar economy built on one thing: capturing and selling your distraction. Your mind, that's the battlefield. And being a consumer is the easy path. It's the path of least resistance, precisely because it's so profitable for them, not for you.
But here's the good news, and it is really good news. Nobody is born a thinker or a consumer. These aren't fixed identities. They're just sets of habits, and habits can be changed. They can be built. You get to choose which side of that divide you want to be on, and you do it by consciously trading passive consumption for active engagement. You know, it's funny. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus said it best over 2,000 years ago, and it has never, ever been more true than it is right now. He said, "You become what you give your attention to." Your attention is literally the currency you use to build your mind and to build your life. What you focus on, you become.
So ultimately, that's the choice, isn't it? It's choosing to be conscious over running on autopilot. It's choosing curiosity, which can be hard, over convenience, which is always easy. And it's choosing to create your life, not just consume whatever is put in front of you.
Because every single thing you give your attention to, every show you watch, every feed you scroll, every book you read, every conversation you have, it's a building block. All of it is actively constructing the person you are becoming. It's building the life you will lead. So the only question left, really, is what are you creating?
If you spend any time online, you've heard it a million times. It's the universal sign-off, the creator's mantra. Like, share, subscribe. We hear it so often it's just kind of become background noise, right? But what if I told you those three little words aren't just a polite request? They're actually a powerful set of commands that literally shape the internet you experience. So let's just put it all together one more time. Liking is your vote for quality. Sharing is your tool for expansion. And subscribing is your act of community building. Every single click has a distinct and vital impact on the digital world we all live in. So, the next time you hear that familiar sign-off, remember this. You are not just passively watching something. You are an active participant. You are a curator, deciding what content deserves to be seen. You're an amplifier, giving it a bigger voice. And you're a patron, supporting the creators that you really value. So remember, your clicks have real weight. They actually shape the internet that we all share. They can elevate an unknown artist, they can spread a vital idea, or they can build a global community. You hold that power in your hands. The only question left is, now that you know the code, how are you going to use it?